I feel terrible about your friend Jerry. He's upset that I gave Kramer that chest of drawers, isn't he?
Why? Why do you think he's upset?
How could he not be? Living in that cramped little apartment? That outdated furniture, so terribly un-Karl Farbman-like?
We're not going to talk about Karl Farbman all night, are we?
I hope not.
What's up, everyone? You found another Seinfeld analysis episode of the Thunk Tank Podcast. Welcome. I can confidently tell you that Karl Farbman would love this episode. We analyzed Season 8, Episode 7. It's called The Checks. It's the one with Karl Farbman, Desperado, Kramer and the Japanese tourist, the cult Sunshine carpet cleaners. You're a Seinfeld fan, so that should be enough to trigger the memory for you. Hope you're having a thunky week, and see you crazy fuckers in the tank. Welcome to the Thunk Tank. Come in the tank. We're thinking, and we're drinking,
And we're thunked.
and we're thunked.
Oh my god, I'm probably more beer than man if we go far enough back at this point.
All right, there we go. Boom. Welcome to the Seincast. I gotta say, this is among my favorite episodes to prepare for.
Yeah, we did some preparation. We did some hearty preparation.
I literally did. Like, I have a bunch of notes, but like, I've never had so much fun taking notes. Like, I watched Seinfeld today and then just paused it every like 15 seconds and thought, like, this is how this specific thing is fucked up.
It's like if school were fun, if you were studying something that you actually really want to learn about.
Right. I mean, I have felt this way with other topics, like sometimes like, I don't know, history in school or something, like where I actually get into it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's not like doing Seinfeld research.
No, it's like all the classics, you know, the Greek mythology, Victorian literature, Seinfeld. It's all part of the canon of
Having said that,
art. And
I think it's all there.
it's not all there.
So I have a clip to open, like it's basically the opening clip of the episode, but should we start with our classic, like try to sum up the episode in one sentence?
That's a good idea.
Hey, Kenna.
Hey guys.
Howdy.
What's up, babe?
I just want to tell you
Oh.
real quick. Don Julio, a whole bottle of it. Isn't that
Whoa,
crazy?
let's go.
I was
Whole
hoping
bottle of
maybe-
Don Julio,
Yeah.
1942.
Great guy.
Tremendous.
I love Don. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good friend of the podcast.
Love the Don.
Hello, audience. All right.
Oh, by the way, we're joined by my brother Eric. We road tripped up to Massachusetts.
This is Thunk Tank on the road.
Good to have
you
you
may
guys
you may
back.
you may remember Eric from our most downloaded episode,
The original Seincast.
27,
yeah.
I think.
28.
27.
Whatever.
27A, 27B.
Something like that, but I think it was
Yeah.
27, 28, and 29.
No,
God,
God, you're so wrong. It's bad.
we'll see.
Sorry, we'll handle that later. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us because out of all the
He's
people I
professor
know,
of Seinfeld.
I was saying this to Luke actually on the ferry that the crazy thing about doing a Seincast episode with your brother is the fact that I know people who know Seinfeld really well, but in terms of, and as somebody who is a professor, I'm like, this guy is a Seinfeld savant. He's a scholar. Like you could teach courses on
Well,
it.
I'm glad I'm here to help you guys tackle the important issues.
See,
Yeah.
that's a good answer. You're hired.
Like Seinfeld breakdowns.
I mean, we were debating whether we should talk about the Trump situation or the election,
I tell you something else. You're banned.
We'll get to it.
or just. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something I love about thinking in Seinfeld universe because it takes intellectual work,
Yeah.
yet it's not demanding of your energy.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's effortless, like intellectual work. You're like, wait a second. If Peterman thought this and
Yeah.
then did
Yes.
that, why the fuck would this be that?
Somebody's
And
like,
you're
dude,
like,
it's
Correct.
a show.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't get it.
yeah, when people go, that doesn't make sense. It's just a stupid show. I'm like,
You know
you
what?
don't understand it.
You're just
You
a
know what?
stupid show.
You're
yeah.
banned. You're banned.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is like we were saying. I'm not going to give any
Like the Boogie
spoiler-
Woogie Man.
Yeah, no spoiler
It's
alerts.
boogity.
But I'm quite
Boogity
sure.
Man.
I'm quite
It's
certain.
boogie.
There's going to be so many specific references in this episode. But the writing, there were so many points in this episode while we were watching it where I said, "Oh my god, I see what they're doing. They're connecting dots
Oh, we
in
have
such
to.
a way."
Did we name the episode?
We'll
in the
have
title.
put an intro in the front of this episode.
Got it.
Allegedly,
But yeah, and nevertheless, it is.
Nevertheless,
It's always weird to talk about the intro that I will do.
yeah, because it's useless. Just
It's
play
the future
clip.
perfect tense. I will have done this. You know what I mean?
No,
By the time you're hearing this, I will have recorded an intro.
And you will have turned it off probably.
Yeah, if you've lasted this
and
long.
now for the next 10 minutes, we'll go into the past perfect tense and how that works. And I'll do it in Turkish as well.
Cut, edit. So you have a clip to start?
Do you want to open up by just giving the one sentence, like try to say what the episode is in one sentence?
Oh, okay. That's a good start.
You go
place to
first.
start. Oh, Jesus.
This is the key to asking the question. You get two other people. Like you pretend like you're running the thing.
Okay.
So like I'm like Joe goes, then Eric goes, and then I'll go, and I get to hear like how people mess up doing
and then
that.
you're like, you know what? Let's not do it. Let's just play the clip.
Yeah, that's a Kramer move to just bail out of the game that you started.
Okay. One line.
One line.
Okay. Summary.
Feel free to have a hyphen in there or an M dash.
Okay. Okay, I got it. An unbalanced crew of misfits check out while trying to cash checks.
Nice. You threw in a little bit of artistic
there.
And I love the unbalanced reference.
We suspect his friend here is also a little unbalanced. Yeah. So what do you got?
No, I invented the game, so I go last.
Yeah.
Jerry is slightly inconvenienced to get paid, and it has a ripple effect.
Oh, so starting from the inception of the the seed. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Yeah. It's nice.
If you would consider that Costanza is the main character, you might say,
I don't know if I consider that.
Yet again, bald man on the Upper West Side,
short, stocky.
Can you replace man with loser? Because that loser
hits rock bottom when even Colt doesn't want him.
Interesting. So you don't even
like maybe that's the main storyline. You know
what's funny about that is that
he's like
he's mad the Colt won't even have him.
But do you know what's funny about that is that you think from that explanation, you didn't even mention checks because that storyline has nothing to do with the checks. There is a scene where
the cleaner guy says you need to sign the check. Yeah.
Well, George says anything else, and he says, no, just sign the check.
Yeah.
So it does.
Right. So George hires a carpet cleaning service because it's like really cheap. And then Kramer, George has already hired them, so he didn't know this when he hired them.
What's the name of the company?
Sunshine Cleaners.
Cleaners.
Carpet cleaning.
Yeah. And so George is like, I gotta head home, the carpet cleaners are coming and it's only $35. What a deal that is.
I know, it's $25.
$25?
Yeah, even better.
1990s money, so it's probably more like $55 now,
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what your equation, but
I did.
Or 30,000 yen.
Yeah, it's not an equation so
much.
It's
30,000
like
yen.
I added $20 for 20 years.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that checks.
It's science. Look it up.
Sure.
There's some very basic science that disputes that, but
yeah, science.
Seinfeldins.
You're not ready.
What was I saying?
I don't know.
Only that George is the main storyline. So now we can clip it.
Oh, yeah. So George.
Now we can edit all.
George doesn't know this going in, right?
That he's the main character.
No, that they're carpet cleaners are a cult.
Right.
So, but he thinks like, let me have some fun with this, and at the end of it, he's like ready for their pitch. But my dark interpretation of George is that nobody's ever loved him. Not even his parents.
Actually, a dog once. He
admits that a dog once
he licked
loved
himself
him.
and left the room.
Yes.
And I think George really took in that moment. He's like, I'm going to feel wanted and desired by someone for once,
Yeah, but it's
and
also
then even
he's also
then they're like,
them.
yeah, you didn't sign the
But
check.
he's also paying them.
Oh, that's fine with him.
I know. That's how
because
superficial
he
it
paid
is.
them for the surface thing, but they're really a cult.
He tries to show him how depressed he is, and they're just like, that's
after they reject him, right? They
you
reject
need
him.
anything else? Oh, I could really use some guidance.
Yeah, I'm really lost in life. Blah blah
That's
blah.
nice.
Good luck with all that. That's what he says.
And then not like a couple days later, he books them again for Yankee Stadium because George books the carpet cleaning at Yankee Stadium.
Well, that's like what Wilhelm says. George, did you order the carpet cleaners?
He goes, are they here?
They haven't said anything to you.
You can't hire carpet cleaners if you're the head of like travel or whatever.
No, he's the assistant to the traveling secretary. He's not head
That's
of
right.
nothing.
So
Good
he's an assistant. Why does he need an assistant?
I think he does get the promotion eventually, right?
Well, it's the Yankees.
A lot more work, not much more pay.
Yeah.
So I think this episode was like particularly rich with Seinfeld themes. Like I was just saying to Joe before we hit record, like when you analyze Seinfeld deeply, you start to feel like you do as a musician when you analyze like Mozart or something.
Here we go.
You're like, this is like a fractal,
Deep dive. Yes.
fractal, organized, like very tightly put together.
Yeah.
World.
Everything is very consciously done in such a way that it seems like it's not.
Yeah,
right?
it's effortless,
Yeah,
right? It flows.
The formulas, and this is why it's
Good
cool to
music
analyze
flows.
an episode like this or music and how it's constructed, is that there is a very logical formula to it, but it's also artistic.
Yeah.
This
And the art
episode has
comes
a lot
out.
of connections too.
Yeah.
That where
Yeah.
you're
Really
like,
cool.
really, you would be like, why are they writing this? Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, there's the connection.
Right.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Very specifically done.
Because it ties into bigger Seinfeld themes.
Which there's a lot
While
of
it's
by
also like
season
funny
8. Yeah.
with the specific
Yeah.
details.
There's
right?
a lot that they can sort of draw upon in terms of their collective identity and what's going on with their vibe by season 8. So,
Actually, Joe and I just looking at the season 8 episodes were like, there are a ton of good, really good.
just bam, bam, bam.
and then you're like, this is like without Larry too. So
Yeah,
you could-
post
there's
Larry,
just
yeah.
really good writing.
I think something
Yeah.
clicked in season 8 because I've been watching
They were
season
like,
8.
we got it. We'll
I
take it
literally
from here.
started watching
It
it with
transitions, yeah.
with my fiance Yanka like a couple months ago. We started and we've been crushing it. Like we watch it with breakfast, we watch it with
Yeah.
a lunch if we're happen to have it together, and then always with like dinner. Let's say it's a stone dinner. Like we've grown to like kind of like tickle the marijuana brain with Seinfeld. So
You got to tickle.
we just got to season 8, and
Oh,
and,
you
like,
got to.
we just rewatched the episode just now before
Yeah.
hitting record, but I also happened to watch it 2 nights ago with Yanka. And so, like, I remember
Yeah.
just when we were texting, like, hey, maybe I'll come up this weekend and we'll do a podcast. I was like, I want to push for the
Yeah.
Seinfeld, the checks.
Yeah, he
you know?
basically said, what episode you want to break down? I said, what about Bizarro World? And then you said, what about the checks? And I was like,
Yeah.
that's a great episode. Let's do the checks.
Yeah,
Fair enough, yeah.
And there's so many other
like, I
episodes
don't
I could have said that you would have been
I
like,
would've been
oh,
like,
I see what
that's
he's
a-
going for.
yeah,
Right,
That's a
yeah.
great one. Go.
You always know what people are
Yeah.
going for when they want to do a Seinfeld cast.
I think this episode too is a really good representation of, like you're saying, where it obviously shifts at season 8 because it's the first season after Larry leaves, and that's how I sort of divide the series. I call 1 through 3, I think, the early
Yep.
Seinfeld.
4, 5, 6.
4,
is
5,
the-
6 really finds out what the show is about,
Yeah.
and then after Larry leaves, it's like much more what we would see in something like Always Sunny,
Right.
right?
Correct.
No, I remember
Definitely
you
a
said
little
that
more-
in our
Yeah,
original
right.
Seinfeld cast.
Yeah.
Like the first time we
And
tried to do the
checks
whole
is
more
series.
outrageous.
The checks is a good episode that kind of like really illustrates that
Yeah.
progression or that
But
evolution.
backs it up with good writing, too.
Great
you know,
writing.
You know
yeah.
why I like the checks
It's really
too?
cool.
Nothing happens in it that is physically, like in terms of the laws of physics,
Mhm.
improbable.
What do you mean?
In so many other episodes, like Kramer and that guy have a ball of oil and it just happens to fall on
Right,
Jerry's
right,
girl.
right.
There's physical coincidences that just don't make sense, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I do actually have one gripe with that episode.
With the ball of oil episode?
No, the checks. There's one scene that I'm not,
that doesn't
which
connect.
is amazing because I think the rest of the episode, like line by line, even is flawlessly written. It's so well written, and there's one scene that I have issues with. Should I tell you now?
I almost
Give
wanna
me if it's
guess
a
it.
beginning, middle, end scene.
It's towards its end. I would call it.
Okay,
Towards
is
the,
it
towards
something
the end.
about how the
Towards the end.
drawers got stuck?
Nope.
Is it?
Think about like the one thing that you would say, that's kind of not believable in this episode.
The axe to the head? No.
No, and they explain that very
that's right.
expertly.
Because they.
Yeah, because he attacks him, and you don't see him attack him, and then he just has an ice pack on his head, and Jerry says, "Well, at least it was only the handle," so you know that sort of makes sense.
Is it George calling Jerry to do this ridiculous favor, and Jerry's just like, okay,
No.
yeah, I'll get the.
No, and they
Well, of course,
they
Jerry
do that
first
as
says,
well.
"Who is this?"
Uncle Leo.
Uncle
Yeah.
Leo?
It's when Wilhelm shows up to the office.
You mean Tanya?
Tanya?
Oh, okay. When he's converted.
Right. And I'm like, first of all, would that's a little too far for me in terms of believability.
They didn't need it.
Yes.
They didn't need it, but it just digs a little bit deeper on George that like even Wilhelm got recruited.
Oh yeah, no, it's part of the theme, but it's more so that, and then sort of what pushes me a little further is even though I really like the line because it's funny when the guy says like, "Oh, how did the Yankees win with these two idiots?" Like, how does he know who Wilhelm is? He's some guy who works in.
Okay, that's true. Like, wait, but Wilhelm does get to deliver the line that one day the whole world will be carpet.
Well, that's why
we will do the cleaning.
Well, that's why
it's like they almost created that scene just so he could give that.
I think
line.
so. Yeah. Well, that's why I don't mind it so much because it's still all of that is still really really funny. And like I said,
is this good? Too close?
Even
too
the
far?
Japanese executive guy, like they deliver it all really well, but it was just kind of like. Like I get it narratively, but it's just a little too unbelievable, which is funny to say in Seinfeld in
where anything's possible.
Yeah, right. So but I think other than that,
that's a good point.
The first clip I made was just the opening scene because I think it opened in a different way than like most Seinfeld I remember opens. Like
you mean the cold open, the very beginning?
The cold open for one, because it often doesn't have a cold open.
It depends, yeah.
But the cold open episodes, I feel like draw me into the Seinfeld universe a little bit more because the cold opens are like 20 seconds of like they can be so random and unrelated to the story.
Like, now I got to stick around and
this one was that. So this is a cold open of Jerry and Elaine leaving a grocery store.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
And they're having a conversation, and then Elaine realizes that Jerry's not talking to her; he's just using her as like a way to practice his bits.
And she calls him out on it.
And that made me think to myself, like, the whole show, like, Jerry's not a person.
Jerry's
he's like a sociopath.
His whole life is just testing his material.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's
but
just
she
like,
knows that.
I want to find out what happens.
She calls him out on it. He denies it. But then, like, he's just like...
He admits it.
That's his real conversation with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
or is it?
But then ultimately the only thing he cares about is, like, is it good? And she knows that because she's pathetic and they're kind of like connected, right?
Yeah.
Like they should be the perfect couple if either or both of them were like any amount enlightened, but they're both so not willing to change and like become a couple.
They're so neurotic in their
but
own
they
ways,
still know each other perfectly. And she knows that he really just wants her to say, was it good or was it bad? Yeah. And she ends up just correcting it. She's like,
she does that a few times in the
series. Put too many words here, this. Anyways, here's a clip.
Allegedly.
The clip's coming. I got the beach ball on the Mac. Here we go.
What?
Hey, have you seen all these new commercials for indigestion drugs? Peps at AC, tag 'em at HB.
Ugh, the whole country's sick to their stomachs.
Now, you know you're supposed to take these things before you get sick?
What is this, a bit?
No.
Because I'm not in the mood.
We're just talking. Is this not the greatest marketing ploy ever? If you feel good, you're supposed to take one.
Yeah, I know that tone.
Like, who's he talking to?
I know that tone.
Medication for the well.
Are you done with your little amusement?
Then you admit it was amusing.
It was okay, but move the medication for the well to the front and hit the word good harder.
Great, thanks.
She's such an expert because of how often he does this to her.
And he was doing both. He was genuinely talking, and that is what the
And you
bit
can
becomes.
be doing both, right?
Yeah, right.
Like
that's the beauty of Seinfeld.
I remember
point
hearing...
out how there's not clear absolutes always. Yeah, that's what they do.
Well,
yeah, that's what they do.
They understand each other. So she's happy to be used because she knows he uses him a lot, right?
Right.
Even though he's thinking, you think you're using me, but I'm just getting material for my own.
And it's sticking to me because of the butter.
What if Jerry's only allegiance to them is material? He's not even
that
really
could be
friends
real.
with them.
That
kind
could be
of
a thing.
is, yeah. I think that's fair to argue,
He's
right?
just like, I have a crazy neighbor, a loser friend.
Yeah. It's a great situation for material. If you're a comedian who wants constant material, Kramer is the neighbor you want. George is the loser friend you have. Elaine is the ex-girlfriend that you still hang out with. It all sort of...
But when
you can't control the universe. It is what it is, right?
When he's portrayed as
Seinfeld,
a comedian on the show, like in the universe when he's the comedian, his jokes are very, very elementary. Like,
yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like, they make fun of how his humor is.
You do a lot of that. Have
Did
you ever
noticed
this?
this?
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah.
Whereas the show often opens with him being his real comedic self.
Which
and
is
you're
hilarious.
Like, it's great.
Yeah, right.
But on the show, it's not as good.
Right, yeah. Which is kind of an interesting self-deprecating...
It's exactly what it is, right?
Admittance of like...
He's like, my comedy is just every day, like...
Yeah, but that's important. That is what the show is.
He's like, except you didn't think about it. I did.
Right, exactly. Or you didn't describe it in that enlightened light that you're sort of referring to, which is what the show is really doing. It's really telling us about aspects of our own personalities, right?
I think it's revealing our sub personas, you might say, right?
For sure, yeah.
Like we're not all one thing, and like part of my approach to life, just being grown up, grown up the way I did, is that I have the Seinfeld voice in my head. Like when I'm on the ferry and like somebody says something to me, like the Seinfeld version of like, what are you, crazy? Like, you know, like
what are you, fucking nuts?
Like me and Eric are used to, like, if we go to the holidays on my mom's side of the family, who are all very Seinfeld literate people. Our guests here,
like you called me a professor of Seinfeld. It's like they're better than us.
Well, some people are, right? But
that's scary.
But part of the
like,
Seinfeld humor, just to like put it into context, is something like you walk into the kitchen and we see one of our particular cousins there, and you're gonna get like pour some more soda, and they look at you, you go, "What's up?" and they go fuck yourself. Like that's just the humor, and it's would you agree that's like Seinfeld flavored humor?
Yeah, there's no coincidence that the people that do that, like so us, our cousins, our uncles, all are obsessed with Seinfeld. Like there's no that's
the one connection. We all have different jobs. Some are lawyers, some are this, some are that.
I'll tell you the other one is you look at somebody from across the room at a family party. Both people are clearly bored, and you just give them one of these. How you doing?
Yeah. You look at each other, it's like we both obviously know we should be here, but whatever's connecting the people here, we're agreeing we both don't feel it right now. We're just in a room.
So would you say that Seinfeld, because I feel the same way in the sense that I very much kind of grew up with Seinfeld, where it's definitely influenced and impacted my personality.
100%.
Oh yeah,
right? It's in our whole family's
but I think in a good way. Right? Don't you feel?
Well, if you integrate it properly, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's really revealing an honesty.
You can become too Jerry-like or too Kramer. I mean, the main characters are extreme versions of.
I don't mean living like them. I mean living like the lessons that they've taught you.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, so
I think you don't want to become too Larry-like either, right? Like like he is.
Yeah, you don't actually want to be any of the characters. You want to be the writers.
Larry is as if Seinfeld were Seinfeld, the show, were a walking, talking person.
Right.
Essentially. That's what Curb is, right?
Right.
In the
you want to
real
have the
world.
wisdom of Seinfeld without actually behaving like
Larry.
that.
Larry actually did a really funny interview recently, I think on some late show, Colbert or whoever, and he was saying how now it's getting bad because he's starting to just act like how the character actually acts. And he said for years...
It's easier, right?
Yeah, he said for years it was the total opposite. He's like, I would never actually be that guy. He's like, these are just thoughts that I have in real life if I were that guy. And he said, now I'll do and say things just like the character. And I tell people, like, later I apologize because I'm not the character and I feel bad. And I say, it wasn't me, it was the character. I let the character into, to sort of infiltrate, right?
No, but that means you're being an honest artist. When,
there's a temptation
you
to
let
it,
the character be what the character is, right? Like, as a musician, there's two fundamental ways to be, like, expressive. You can plan it out ahead of time and be like, if I shape this note like this and do this like that and this, then that will be expressive, right? Or you can just try to remove yourself from existence and let the wave of whatever the musical energy wants to do.
Yeah.
And as an actor, when you literally let yourself become a different person, you can sense it when you're watching.
Do you know who's really
They
good?
feel like the person.
Do you know who's really good at that? Probably the best example.
Jerry.
Karl Farbman.
Karl Farbman. And that actually segues into the episode which we're talking about.
Which I just remembered we're talking
Way
about.
to bring it home, dude.
All right,
Holy
so
smoke.
Landed that plane.
back to the episode that checks. No, this is what I love about podcasting. It's like if your plane
Desperado.
I was like, oh yeah, checks.
if your plane wanders over like the Pacific Ocean for a while, you can always like steer it back. It's a podcast.
Do you have any Fardmans?
I do.
At your apartment? You do? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Elaine
I can
opens
get
up.
you some if that's what you're driving at.
No charge. No charge to you. It's like, what does he just get free furniture from this cat? It's like apparently
trying to talk through a Seinfeld podcast is like trying to like run through a field where helicopters are shooting machine guns of Seinfeld quotes at you.
like you're gonna get clipped.
You're just trying to dodge and stay on the goal, but you're not gonna make it.
Elaine opens up this new relationship, right? Elaine seems to be someone who she just wants to be happy. She wants to feel like she loves herself and like she has a good job and found somebody. And
she's trying to
aim up, I think.
Right. Yeah, she's
really poorly. She is trying to aim up.
Well, she's trying to follow a societal formula, right? You become an independent person as an adult. You get a job. You work your way up,
and you earn respect.
In season 8, is she
at that point? She's probably in her like mid 30s,
35.
Yeah,
36.
She's probably there's a difference. There's how old an actor is and how old they're supposed to be.
I just tried to drink this.
They always play younger. All right, that's the recording device.
Yeah, all right.
They always play younger.
I would say she's not 40.
No, she's definitely.
They reference their ages at different points in the series, and it's always like way younger than what the actors actually are.
Mid 30s, I would say Elaine is.
Mid 30s, yeah.
And Julia might have been
late 30s.
Late or early 40s, even.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So
for sure,
she wants to get in a real relationship.
Yeah, she wants
that goes all the way.
Get
right?
married, have kids.
Now,
like the whole formula, right?
Would you guys agree that you figured out in life like the best way to do that is to be yourself and wait until someone comes along who's cool with that?
Ideally, right?
Right. So she
ideally
that's a Seinfeld.
Hey,
line,
take it up with
way.
consumer affairs.
If you're someone who's only an expert in this episode and doesn't know other Seinfeld, we're gonna slip in quotes from other episodes.
Who is that person and why are they listening to us then talk about
email
that
us?
episode?
Oh, I want to know you.
Yeah.
I want to know why you.
In fact,
this is a car lot. I should be able to get my car.
Ideally. In fact, donate to the podcast if you're that guy.
So Elaine's at a party and she's in this new relationship with a guy named Brett. And he starts talking about
great name for him.
Yeah,
the
great
Karl
actor, too,
Farbman furniture that he sells and has and everything, right? Like, and she just pretends to know who Karl Farbman is, even though she clearly doesn't, right?
But she's smart enough to know that I'll figure it out.
Arrogant.
She knows that if that's a connection, she's like, I'll find out through my means what a Karl Farbman actually is.
Yeah, but maybe you wouldn't.
She doesn't care. She'll go on to the next
Later
one.
on the street, Jerry was like, "What's that?" She's like, "I don't know."
That's the next clip I have.
Oh, okay.
So she first off, maybe you will end up dating someone that's actually cool if you just know who you are, act like it, and then wait until people come around that
don't
can
go
tolerate
don't go
that.
in willing.
She's
to
also
lie.
she's also willing to settle at 30. Let's call her 34.
Yeah. Right.
She's also like,
Jerry, I'm running out of men in this city.
Yeah.
I called this clip Jerry's Life is a Bit because basically Elaine's trying to tell him about this Brett, new boyfriend Brett, who's
when
a
am I
fan
gonna
of
meet
the
this
Karl
loser?
Farbman furniture,
Jerk,
right?
I think he says.
Yeah, jerk.
He's not a jerk, Jerry. Sorry, we're just doing the whole thing.
And so what'd you guys think of the clip?
So first off, it's like kind of pathetic to hear that like she's trying to show, just like her new boyfriend Brett is always trying to show off. She's trying to show off her boyfriend to Jerry.
Yeah,
and
that's
she
a good
references
point, yeah.
this Karl Farbman guy, even though
Trying to get him jealous?
she doesn't even know who Karl Farbman is, and not even enough to like answer Jerry a little bit.
Right.
She goes, "Oh, I don't know, whatever." Like
She was
something like
maybe
that.
hoping that Jerry was like, "Oh, Karl Farbman."
Right.
Yeah.
You figure maybe that
Like
shit will
there's
stick.
1% chance.
Like maybe
that he
I'm
might
the
be.
idiot and he's really famous.
But I'm not admitting
Exactly.
that until he's like, what?
But I actually named this clip "Jerry's Life is a Bit" because you can see, just like the opening scene,
No,
this is
it's
now
because
a real
you need
situation.
a job. You have too much time on your hands. That's why you named it that. But
Yeah.
go on.
As I say in every episode, any Thunk Tank listeners, if you have side work, especially online, send it my way.
Remote
And
work.
donate on Patreon. Hey, that's part of how we got up here.
That's true.
Yeah,
Thank
Patreon
you.
funds helped us with
you.
the ferry ticket.
Thank you, patrons.
Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe.
You were so close to
Nice.
botching that. Well done.
So anyways, I called it Jerry's Life is a Bit because Elaine's actually trying to just be excited that she has a new boyfriend. That's
Yeah,
the subtext.
yeah, but that's
she wants a real
superficial.
good friend, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But Jerry's just like, let me play out wordplay on her. Like he's just like trying wordplay. All right, here we go.
So when do I meet this jerk?
He's not a jerk, Jer. He only works with Karl Farbman.
Who?
I don't know, some designer.
She
Anyway,
doesn't know
Brett
still.
is so generous and sensitive. Last night he was moved just listening to a song.
What song?
Desperado.
Desperado?
Uh-huh.
And you're still dating him? I tell you, he sounds a little desperado.
Yeah. He's just training as a comic. That's like,
Dude, that
Isn't that just Jerry playing, like, testing his wordplay?
dude, just the dialogue is so well
Structured.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
It's almost musical.
each point bounces
Right.
off and builds upon the next point. There's such a clear progression in that sense. It's really well done. Oh, I love it.
that's why, like,
So would you...
if I didn't know this was season 8, if I just watched this like way earlier on, like I would have
Yeah.
guessed it was earlier, just because there's parts of it that I think are very Larry David.
Mm.
And while like the episodes in 8 and 9 aren't as good, the writing backs it up. Like the stuff's more outrageous than in the middle of the season.
There's some episodes where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
really?
When they
This
go
is a little
outrageous,
extreme, but
I'm less
in this
convinced,
episode
but
in particular, I'm like, that kind of reminds me of Larry, just the way everything
Yeah.
connects.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean,
It feels more like Curb.
some of these
Because
ideas,
Curb doesn't do
yeah.
outrageous physical things like
some of these
oil
ideas
balls
could have
and-
been could have been like bouncing around before he left, but also what the show became even by season 8. Larry's hugely responsible for that.
Who knows how many
So it just,
ideas?
the ball kept rolling, yeah.
Who knows how many
exactly,
ideas just sit around because
Also
they're
that,
like, we
yeah.
couldn't work them in.
Right.
Right.
It just didn't work into that season or that episode or whatever.
We
yeah.
forgot to
Right.
say that. So Elaine's sitting having a nice time with Brett, talking about Karl Farbman, and the song Desperado comes on, right? And this guy is really into Desperado.
And we don't know why, and we never learn
Anyways,
why.
Joe, if
Which
someone
I love that we don't know
Oh,
why.
yeah. Great, again, great writing.
If someone
he
did-
stares off,
you don't need to know.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
if someone did that to you, so you're talking to them in a car and they turn the volume up and just say like, shh,
Joe,
What
can
would you
be
do?
quiet for
Yeah,
just
what
1
would you do?
minute? How hot are they?
It's a guy.
It's a guy.
So really hot.
It depends how desperado I am.
Joe? Could you
Hey
just
Eric,
not
I was
talk
looking
for a minute?
outside before. I don't know if you know, there's like a bunch of raccoons
Luke?
that get into your trap.
Can you be quiet for just 1 minute?
Brett,
He goes, babe,
no,
Song.
first he goes,
the song.
and then she goes, "What's wrong? Is there someone outside?"
For a second, I thought it was a guy with a hook.
I thought it was one of those urban
Elaine,
legends.
Elaine, could you just not talk for a minute?
Do you know why? Because of the implication.
Yeah,
That
that's right.
actor is so good at. We were talking about this on the ferry ride over. How he has that sort of underlying tone of you need to be quiet right now, but at the same time, like
Joe.
just be quiet.
Could you just not talk for 1 minute?
I love how much this is going to happen this episode. Someone's going to be
Now
in the
that I
middle
know
of
I
like,
have this.
Dude, you know, it's the equivalent of...
Been out had
Dude, Luke, in high school, when we
so
used to go,
abrupt.
hold on, man, what are you saying? It's the podcast equivalent to that.
So
Oh,
if
God.
Joe, if we ever get one of those soundboards that have the preloaded buttons that
Just
you just have like
press
the
it,
pre,
yeah. That's
like,
what
you can
I'm
have like
worried
the
about, yeah.
boing 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 sound, you know,
Like Sonny.
and then one of them will just be Desperado, and when it starts, someone's like making a point, and you go,
It'd be a great-
shh, and they look at you and they're like, "What's wrong?" Like you almost look scared, right? Because like when Brett gets in Desperado mode, he's intense, right?
Yeah.
It's like really,
Yeah, no,
it's
there's
a
a- there's a-
viscerally
Yeah.
Well, the
deep
first time he
experience.
does it at a party, Elaine likes it. Elaine's like, this guy's deep.
She
Right.
thinks he's
The second time in the car,
romantic
he's a
and
dick.
deep.
But
Yeah.
it's a one-off at that point, as opposed to the second time, which again is a little unrealistic, but I don't mind it.
Right.
That's the beauty of Seinfeld, is that that's so absurd that it would come on twice within 24
What is-
hours.
But they
When's the
address
last
it.
time you heard
They
that?
address
song?
Jerry
that.
addresses it. What is
Which
he
is
listen to the
hilarious.
all
That's good
Desperado
writing.
station?
That's what they address it
That's
just
good
enough.
writing.
Yeah,
he goes,
just
what does he
enough,
listen
yeah.
to? The All Desperado station?
So at
Which
least-
is Spotify. I think one of you said that
At
before.
least
like-
one of the characters
Yeah.
addressed the problem that we were finding with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then we go,
Yeah,
okay,
the logical
the writers at least
consistency,
knew
yeah.
about it. The
Right.
thing that I hate about shitty things like the new Star Wars movie is when I think, I don't know if the writers
took a hard right.
figured out what I figured out.
Yes. Yes.
Did
You-
they even think about it
You
enough?
rarely do that in Seinfeld.
Right. You don't have to.
They thought of it.
Yeah, they take care of it for you, which you're absolutely right, because that's actually a really good comparison, because as I was watching that last Star Wars movie, there were so many moments where I was like, the cause and effect is moment by moment. It's seconds apart. There's no causal continuity across many minutes, let alone hours and multiple scenes. It was just so illogical in that sense. And so that's what I love about Seinfeld and an episode like this. They self-reference the absurdity of
as long
how
as
they
you're
set
willing
up,
to self-reference the absurdity
of how they set up what is going to
genius.
then be cause of very hard to do.
Well, it's like,
but very
go
well
ahead
done.
and critique it. We already did.
Totally, yeah, exactly. Which is great. I mean, I don't know enough about the other writers,
but isn't that like what
8 and 9,
pisses
but
you
they were
off
great.
most about like shitty writing?
Yeah,
is
totally.
you wonder like,
I did.
Is the writer aware of this?
I read an article that the two main guys that wrote this episode, this was like their last one.
Oh, really?
There was something that happened between Fox and NBC or something,
Oh, wow.
and they were working for Fox, and NBC said like, we
was
can't have
just
you
a
working for
contract
both.
thing, yeah.
So
Right.
this was their last one.
Hmm.
It's an awesome episode though.
All right, so let's talk about the fact that Jerry's claim to fame is twirling umbrellas.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. I invented the twirl.
He really did, by the way.
No, that's
So
Jimmy
real-
Padillac.
That's a real Jerry.
No, I
backstory.
believe he did, right? And he probably had to become
No,
a
but you
comedian
know what
and
it
got
is?
busy
No,
enough and
but
made money
this
enough
is
to
the-
not sell umbrellas. And the umbrella
No, but
people
this is the
resent
other-
him for getting past selling umbrellas.
Yeah,
That's
They're
also
pissed
true.
off that
But
that
this
was
is
the
beauty
dream.
of
umbrella
This
selling.
is also the beauty of it, is that Jerry didn't invent anything just as much as, of course, people just started twirling an umbrella because it was a good
Elaine-
marketing idea.
That's not an invention. That's,
Elaine says that. She goes,
Yeah.
wait, that had to be invented?
Right, because it wasn't,
well, that's
and
like
yet it
Joe.
always
That's like
was.
you inventing the cup. Like, oh, I can hold liquid in this device, and then I invent the beer glass, and it's just a slightly different shaped cup.
Yeah, it's like, well, which one of
it's
you
like, I
invented
didn't invent
it?
anything.
Both of you, and neither of you. You're just assholes.
Yeah, the guy who invented the umbrella is the genius.
Yeah,
not
right.
the guy
Not
who
the twirling.
The twirl.
Yeah, that was just a bunch of guys
Well,
throughout
unless you got a
history.
push button mini.
But Jerry says when he's leaving the guy, he goes,
arguing-
"By the way, you're doing it too fast.
Jerry's
You'll
arguing-
disorient the
disorient the
customer."
customer.
Jerry's
like-
really arguing
like
that
there's
he
a science
popularized
behind
it.
it,
He's
which-
arguing that he got the twirl right. I think right because he's showing people how to actually do it. He tells the guy you're spinning it too fast.
He's basically making the joke that anyone can twirl an umbrella,
Right.
But there's a right way to do
Yes,
it to
correct.
sell them.
He invented the right way to do it.
Yeah,
that's what the
And
crux
Jerry's
of it is.
probably not wrong. Why would Jerry be wrong? Why would Jerry be wrong?
Was there an emphasis on Jerry or
Mom's
wrong?
right. I
think
am
it
a
was
good
on
boy.
wood.
Joe, let me ask a question to get to the next
ask
segment
a little
of this.
question.
Who's the genie in this episode?
Ooh.
If you listen to our past
Farbman.
Soup Nazi one, we analyzed Soup Nazi. We realized that all of Seinfeld is filled with genie activity.
Yeah, and a
But
genie
in
is
each
just,
episode, there is the primary genie.
a genie's kind of someone. I guess in this sense, a genie is kind of someone
A
who
manipulator.
they manipulate more so than other people too. Is sort of they drive the manipulation of the episode.
They
more
work
so than
every
others.
story or whatever
Yeah,
towards their interest.
They weave it together.
It's
yeah.
very Always Sunny like, actually. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one because Kramer has some genie. Does a lot of genie.
Kramer
Definitely does.
genies the fuck out of those
Yeah,
Japanese
Kramer does a
guys.
lot of
but then
genie.
gets like in a predicament because of it. So that's where I would think he's not.
Kramer's genie. I have something to say about that. I might as well say it now. When Kramer genies
Might as
people
well,
like he
yeah.
genies the Japanese guys in this
Yeah.
episode.
It's to no advantage of
No,
him,
but
though.
he always
No, he
sets it
gets a
up
suit
so
out of
that
it.
he sets it up so that when it fails, which it inevitably will,
Yeah.
he actually has zero responsibility. He's like, that's not my money.
Well, yeah. The last time
He sold their airline
Yeah.
tickets
for cash.
for cash.
Well, the last
And he
time,
said it
I
to
think-
Jerry. He's like, well, evidently they're out of cash. It's like, you spent it all on
Yeah.
cowboy hats.
I think the last
They
time you
came to
see
New York with
Kramer is
$800
him
and you
telling-
spent it all.
Is him telling George,
Look,
"Oh
they're
yeah, they're sleeping
Japanese.
one off. They did drink
They
a bunch
got
of
50
sake in that hot tub last night." And that's it. That's the end of that story.
He
right?
didn't think like I got them drunk on sake and then didn't wake them
Yeah.
up and left them in drawers.
That's the end of Kramer's part of that story, and you see them in like the scene after or
They're
whatever.
in the NBC.
What did Kramer
and they're
have that
panicking
morning?
That
A
they've
walk
been
in the park?
starving. We've been through many hardships, and yeah, Kramer's just free again. Kramer's off doing.
Well,
a
he's
whole
like,
other
actually,
Kramer
I got
thing.
bored with the Japanese guys, so I'm going to let him go.
Which is a very genie thing to do. If you
Yeah.
have genie powers,
I mean,
move on to the next thing.
Classic genie move is
Yeah.
to be interested in things so long as it tickles your intellect.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you're bored with it,
There's
you
that
just
word
move on
tickles
without any
again.
more responsibility.
Actually, do you know who might be the genie in this episode? Hit it.
The Eagles?
No, Desperado. Desperado.
Wait.
Because that has a genie influence.
Well,
Eric,
wait, did you say Carl?
can you be quiet for just 1 minute?
No.
Oh, for a second, I
no,
thought
it
someone
starts
was
with
there.
a shush. It starts like, yeah, someone's talking and like the music starts. And then, of course, even though he doesn't touch the volume, it fades up. Shh. And then she goes, "What is it? What is it? What's out there?
He goes,
What's out there?"
song. And she goes, oh, phew.
Right, yeah.
For a second, I thought it was somebody
And then
who...
she reflects.
Joe, could you just not talk for a minute? And like a
For
minute's
1
such
minute.
a reason. Like what his
No,
the
none
sub
of it is
the,
reasonable.
The subtext of what he was saying was "Shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
you stupid
right.
bitch."
Yeah. There was such
That's the
intensity
subtext.
behind it.
You're
yeah.
There's
ruining
so
this
much
fucking
intensity.
song.
Like, do you realize how stupid you are for talking even though this song is on? That's the subtext, but he manages to say it as politely as possible, which is, could you just not talk for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Could you just... He didn't
It's-
say I request.
No, it's such a
Could you, like-
bureaucratic way of saying that it's extra harsh, right?
yeah, exactly.
He's so intense. The
It's
way
great.
he looks
I
off
love it.
into the
All right.
distance, too.
So,
Did you have another clip?
I have a few other clips, but
Oh, man.
who do you think is the main genie? Would you agree with that?
Hmm.
You think it's Carl?
I think it's either Farbman or Desperado.
See,
I think,
to,
I think it's one of the two.
I like the answer Desperado just because it's unique.
yeah.
And you can just hit the button whenever we say it. now.
Yeah.
I think zoomed out wise, it's Jerry, just because he's using his whole world to test his material. The idea that he got hurt signing checks, like he,
That's also really dumb. Yeah.
it's like
You could
just so-
easily sort... Also, when
It's
you
so
sign things,
Seinfeld
it doesn't
universe,
really
like-
matter.
Right. Well, because it is something that will happen, right? If you,
But you're signing your name. You're not writing
Right.
pages upon pages. All he's doing is signing his name.
It makes no
And
sense that
somehow
his
he
hand
has
would be
to-
that bad.
Yeah, his
Also,
claw
like-
is like
yeah, it
permanent.
becomes claw
When you hold a
Which
pen,
is
you
my
can hold it
favorite scene
lightly.
when he does
Yeah.
that to Brett.
Brett,
Yeah,
And
Brett
walks
comes in,
and
yeah.
goes,
Oh, funny!
very
I heard
funny.
you were a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
So from the beginning, Brett was just looking for a way to view
he's
Jerry
such a
as like a
douchebag.
pathetic person,
But also
and
to
Brett
be
is like
a
a
dick.
great person.
he was a
but-
pretentious.
Yeah.
So my
douchebag.
favorite part about
From
that,
the moment,
but like
they
trying
meet, yeah.
to be nice, also, which is
But is he?
ultimate douchebaggery?
I
like,
think it's mostly that to him.
oh, I can get you on if that's what you're driving at.
Yeah. Right.
so
Yeah,
first
he's
off,
also
I
kind of
said-
being a dick.
All I said was
Yeah.
it was nice.
no,
I'm not
Jer-
driving at
Jerry
anything.
was clearly not even saying it was nice.
He was so uninterested.
If Brett was really paying attention, he would see that Jerry was so uninterested and merely being like fake polite.
But
it was so obviously
it's
fake
also-
polite.
it's funny
and
that
he
it's
goes,
such
"If
a
that's
weird
what you're
thing to be
driving at,
pretentious
it's
about.
like
Yeah.
I did the
driving
opposite
at?
of that.
I couldn't
tried
have
to move
expressed
on.
more disinterest in what you do as selling furniture.
Whatever
That's
it
no
is you
problem at
do.
all.
Yeah.
It's no problem at all. Fax you it. Oh, Jerry doesn't have a fax machine.
But he also says,
Well,
no
I'm sure
charge.
things will pick up for
That's
you
where
soon.
that whole that became a plot line where like Brett is above Jerry simply by Brett saying he's above Jerry. Jerry's rich. We all know he's really successful. He buys Cadillacs for his fucking dad, right? But for
We
some
all saw his act last year.
for some reason, Brett thought Jerry was like poor and like thought he had like a
cramped
stupid
little
job
apartment.
writing skits.
You need a
Oh,
workspace.
you
for
don't
your
write
skits.
skits because
I don't
goes,
write
"No,
skits. Of course you don't.
course
You don't have a
have
proper
workspace.
I fucking love that interaction.
Carl
Yeah.
Carl thinks
He's like
he's-
measuring the apartment. Like
Yeah, you can. He's like.
you could tell he's just like
looking, yeah.
saying, "Will this fit here? Will that?" And it's
but
like,
also just like judging it too. Like he
Well, that's the thing. You believe that guy's probably good at furniture, whatever that means.
he's good at manipulating people
but
and
he's
selling
thinking
furniture.
He's with Elaine
And
later,
pretending just because he listens to Desperado that he's a deep guy.
she's like,
Right.
What are you thinking about?" And he's like, "I know Jerry's upset about."
oh, I have that
that
clip.
I
I,
gave-
have that clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I like the answer that Farbman. I'm sorry, that Brett is the genie.
Well, Desperado is the genie.
Desperado is a different version of a genie, but Brett is a human. Desperado.
Brett's very much a genie. Yeah, I think so.
So I think they all
Brett's
genie
just
each other
using
like
Elaine
once in
to
a
sell
while.
Furniture, I think. Like he definitely
Yeah.
sold Kramer that, and then he thinks he can sell Jerry stuff, and like he doesn't probably really care about Elaine. He's definitely genieing the situation.
He cares
Oh,
about
I think
Desperado.
I
That's
think
what he
he's not
cares
a
about.
genuine character.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not.
I
at
think he knows he should be deep, and so when Desperado is the kind of song that when it comes on, you just naturally feel like a sense of like,
all. Luke, can you be
Just
quiet?
Not talk for a minute.
isn't it just like very serious sounding? Like it's just kind of like You know?
If you were to be moved by a song, it's definitely this makes sense.
This is the perfect song that
it really
they chose.
is because
Yeah.
you're just like, oh shit,
yeah.
get quiet, and then she wants witchy.
Go
woman.
inward.
Yeah, Witchy Woman is so not the song.
And now
And
you're
witchy-
out riding
and-
fences.
And Witchy Woman.
It's so bad.
So Elaine wants
Yeah.
Elaine wants to have her own song / maybe share a song with Brett.
Right, because now this is a
And-
thing, right?
Oh, witchy.
By the way,
woman.
this is fits in with my genie theory that
Boogity
they
man.
all genie each other because they all encourage each other in stupid plans. So Jerry encourages Elaine that she should find a song of her own / a song that they can both share.
Right.
And her first answer is Witchy Woman.
Oh, you have
No,
it?
her first choice is Oye Como Va.
No. First choice
That's
is Witchy
later.
Woman. Later she says Oyo
Oh.
Como Va.
Yeah.
But
Which is probably a worse choice.
I can understand why this. The Eagles did a really good job of finding the musically, like the right setting of piano and the range of the voice, and it's a very intimate feel, and it immediately gets you.
Well,
to
yeah,
feel
it's a
like,
song you would want to share with somebody too, if you're from Elaine's perspective.
It sounds like something.
Yeah, why
deep,
can't
right?
we share this? Yeah, this sounds.
Desperado. Why
No,
don't
it's
you
mine.
come
We
to
can
your-
all agree it's an amazing song.
It's a great song. It's
But
very
it's
Karl
mine.
Farbman like.
It's just so on Karl Farbman.
Karl Farbman like.
So, for example, in this episode, Jerry is subtly a genie by encouraging Elaine to go on this mission of finding a song. When it's like, don't
See?
date asshole
Because-
men.
yeah, but-
that's the lesson you
But
should
there
tell
might
your
be
friend.
potential material there. So
Yeah,
go.
but he
right.
actually-
But that's what a genie would do.
That's
It's
why
like,
he's
oh,
my
yeah.
answer. He's just
Yeah,
like,
that's a
let's
good
see this
answer,
play
yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
maybe I get some more bits out of it.
Right. Which he doesn't do. He's just talking. We're
Well,
not
he doesn't have
talking.
the- he doesn't have
We're
the proper
just
workspace.
Talking. Yeah.
So
We're
here,
not- yeah, it's no
here's
bit. We're
Elaine's
just-
boyfriend in the
talking.
car with
We never
Elaine
said
because
that.
they're always in the car in this episode for some reason. And
because
he's-
the car he's driving.
he gave
It's part of his. Seriously, it's
he
like
drives
a
in
ridiculous red Ferrari. Like it's just
Right.
fix his whole character.
Well,
oh yeah,
it's the same
he
model
probably
that
loves
Karl-
spending time in the car.
It's the same model that Karl Farbman drives. I'm pretty sure.
Well, Karl Farbman was in the passenger seat
Yeah,
at one
he
point in
was.
this episode,
Which is a great.
You do meet him.
with Jerry
course he's
soaking
got
wet.
shades on.
First off,
I got Karl Farbman here.
yeah.
Like why? Why? There's no because they're like, well, we have to fill in the seat with somebody. We could put in Elaine, possibly.
it's like-
If the
no,
seat's
his
empty,
hero.
Brett is too much of a dick.
right.
They could have had Brett have an empty seat and go, "You're already soaking wet. If you sit on the seat, you'll ruin my leather."
Right.
That would have worked too.
No, but I think
But
it's
this is
better
so much
that
better.
Karl Farbman
Oh, of
was
course.
there. It's like
yeah.
you hang
He's
out with
obsessed
Karl.
He's obsessed.
You're
with
obsessed with him, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they're
Thanks for stopping.
Thanks for stopping.
Elaine's in Brett's car, and he had already given Kramer like the Karl Farbman dresser. It's like the extra space dresser that eventually Japanese guys will sleep in, like
Yeah.
their Rice Krispies characters. Snap, crackle, and pop. That's the joke,
That's what
right?
they have for breakfast.
Anyway, so Brett here is worried that Jerry might be jealous, right? Because he views Jerry as a pathetic guy. He doesn't even have a fax machine. He
Yeah.
lives in a shitty apartment. Anyways, here we go. You can lean over and try to see it, Joe.
I feel terrible about your friend Jerry. He's
Look at that
upset that
car.
I gave Kramer that chest of drawers, isn't he?
Why? Why do you think he's upset?
How could he not be? Living in that cramped little apartment? That outdated furniture, so terribly un-Karl Farbman-like?
We're not going to talk about Karl Farbman all night, are we?
I hope not.
So right after that, obviously you heard the music coming on is when Desperado starts. But I love how like he doesn't have any.
Obviously, it comes on at that station.
But
at
he
that
also
time.
his reaction doesn't come when you hear the song start, which is weird.
Joe, could you just not talk?
Right. He knows the song so well that like
Right. Yeah.
the piano's already coming, but he
No,
has
he
to
knows
wait.
to wait for the intro to
he-
finish. Yeah.
Well, no, he waits for Elaine to talk.
Yeah, you're right.
He wants to be like Elaine. This
Are you not as deep as me?
Right. It's like a weird intellectual power grab.
Because the piano
You know what's
starts when
funny?
he's like, I hope not. He's going in for a
Yeah,
kiss.
right. He
but,
should
like,
recognize that
Really?
piano,
Why
yeah.
would you be kissing during? You're kissing during Desperado?
Oh, this is our first Seinfeld analysis guest that has properly quoted a line from the previous Seinfeld episode analysis.
Oh God, I'm not ready.
no.
For
Podcast
this.
about something. There's a challenge for you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
Whenever we have you on.
we're gonna at him this. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to have him back too.
Well, we went on his podcast to analyze the whole season 7, and George is like, whatever you call season 7,
I
George.
wonder how that episode did.
In terms of what?
I don't know. Anybody
Oh,
listening?
you mean? Do you mean in terms of like?
We haven't been back since.
Oh no, I think it was a good episode.
I think it was a great episode.
I'm gonna tweet at podcast about something again after we.
Great podcast. If you haven't heard of it, folks, whoever you are.
What is this?
I
What
feel like we
podcast?
were on twice. It's another podcast that
he's the guy
heard
who-
our Seinfeld episode
he
and was
found
like,
us,
"Oh my
yeah.
god, I got to connect with you guys."
He tweeted.
So we
at
went
us.
on
He was
his
like-
podcast.
He's
a
like,
few
I've
times.
never heard people who
And did
know
a
so
whole
much about
season
Seinfeld.
7.
We did a
breakdown?
season 7 thing, and then we did a
Season 7 's
Festivus
insane.
episode too.
Yeah, Festivus. That was a good one.
That must have been some podcast.
Oh,
It was something, all right.
There you go.
That's it. This is so dumb.
Man,
Joe, could you just not laugh for 1 minute?
Don Henley.
I wish. Oh man,
You're right. That piano with his voice is.
All right.
It's objectively also such a good fucking
Side
song.
note: as I talk, can you get a couple Miller Lights from the
I'm gonna
fridge?
do that. Actually, that's a good transition right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing well actually. What time is it? I just
I don't know. October.
Oh, we're at 50 minutes. Oh, nice. Yeah. So the next thing that I wanted to bring up in the episode, a major thing, is how Kramer genies the Japanese guys. So let's just talk about, like, would you agree that Kramer is most often the genie more than the other characters? He's primary genie way more than the other characters.
I would agree that there's always genies within episodes, but over the course of Seinfeld,
Kramer plays that part the most. Yeah.
And he gets things that like the others don't get, and it's like, why would he? He's the one who's like, doesn't have a job, like lives a weird.
Well, maybe that's
he often
why.
gets things that like the others don't, and it's
He sees things that they don't. Yeah,
Right.
He sees the world very differently than Jerry or George.
or he'll be like the logic,
He's very
and-
flexible.
and you're like,
When Kramer's the logic, you got yourself in
so
trouble.
I think that's what makes him the genie is.
Well, Kramer's willing to just change on a dime. So he's willing to be a certain type of character for weeks. And then it's like he got really into Frank's Holiday, right? And then as soon as like he simply had to go to work, he was like, "Hey Frank, this holiday is a little like he abandons you."
Well, so he has zero
He
responsibility.
doesn't feel moral responsibility towards things. So
it's whatever flight of fancies that week, and then he can.
how
just
does he cure
be
that
like,
his boredom that week? Basically,
right? He'll be like,
Opening a business with a friend? Why not?
all right, your money.
Yeah, your money, you're investing
responsibility.
it.
And then,
I
like,
know
when
you
it
were
goes to hell, I'm just out.
I know you were inspired by my energy, but when it goes to hell, I have my rent controlled apartment to fall back on. And
What's the deal? Like, how does he? Like, we could make a backstory for Kramer that. Like,
How did he get there?
Or like,
Is
how
there
does
a
he
book?
pay for rent?
Has
How did-
anybody?
I think he's definitely rent control is like assumed to be part of it.
I have a theory about
And
that.
he
that
probably got
basically-
rich at one point.
I think he got like a big inheritance or something, and part of the stipulation was, "Oh, we know what you are, Kramer, so you get an allowance." It's essentially paid out as an allowance,
Right.
And that plus like a rent-controlled apartment. It's like, oh yeah, whatever he does, and he does make money throughout the series. He's a Calvin Klein model. He sells the coffee table book. He wins on the Subway episode, I think 18 grand the math works out to, just one day gambling. So there's moments where he has not just income, but like presumably with ads and stuff.
Oh my God!
Incoming
Imagine the
income.
amount of money he would have gotten to.
He might have a lot more money than people
No, I mean
think.
with the coffee thing.
Well, yeah, of
They're
course.
like
it
free
gets
cafe
ruined.
lattes for life. Plus, and he's like,
What were
deal.
they
Yeah.
offering him? Like 100,000?
I thought more.
They were going to offer him, I think, 100,000. I think it was
I think
it was
they
a lot of money.
They
It was
no,
like-
somebody said 50, and then another guy said, "Let's just do 100."
Do
and,
100
Just be done with
and
it.
be
Yeah.
sure he'll take it.
Right.
Like
plus
50,
the
he's like
lattes.
right on the edge.
Right. Which, again, especially if you
And
get
then the guy
90s,
reverses the
that's-
order of the offer.
Of course, because in the universe, that's the
Yeah.
way you have to deliver
Yeah.
that pitch.
Right, yeah.
All right, so Kramer obviously genies the Japanese guys, right?
Hard.
Now, there's the element of geniness because the Japanese guys happen upon Kramer. they go, "Can you take our picture?"
Well, that's a
Little
genie.
did they
a genie
know
just appears.
They're getting, yeah, that's what I mean.
It's the worst
It's
guy
the
you
s-
could have asked to take that picture.
Yeah, you could have asked anybody on the streets of New York.
You
It's
could have
just
asked
like-
me. You wouldn't have wound up sleeping in my drawers, guaranteed.
Yeah, and losing all your
Guarantee it.
money.
Yeah, and losing all your money and being stranded in America, eating oranges in an office somewhere.
So before
'Cause you're
Kramer
starving.
got them stuck in drawers, he
Again
also
with the
cashed
oranges.
in their airplane tickets.
Again with the oranges.
And then he phrased like when he's
Yeah, yeah.
cashing in their airline
Is
tickets.
this beer yours?
Yeah. You got a beer right there.
saw it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to get a fresh light beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm done. Not going to drink these the whole day.
So Kramer
Thanks, buddy.
cashes in their plane tickets because he spent all their money on things like cowboy hats.
Yeah.
And then
Well, because he did a dog
Kramer
equation
acts-
where he said, "How
he
much
heard
are
the number
how much are
50,000.
these? Yeah, how much are these?" And
Well,
you're like,
these
"Oh,
are
these are basically
practically
free."
he thought 50,000 is so much bigger than 300, the number I know in
Yes.
dollars. And it's like,
A few $100s, right?
But this is what we've talked about previously, where Kramer, as much of a thematic genie that he is, as a practical character, he's very dog-like. He just does the most base level equations and then
well, when he
rolls with
talked to
it.
Jerry, he said, "Look at what you're wearing."
Yeah.
As that was his evidence that Japanese guys must be rich.
well, no. he
Right.
go-
Yeah, it's like
he's-
that is not cause and effect.
it's
he
just
goes,
like the write-off. Like he just assumes it's a
He's
thing.
like, you're spending a lot of their
Yeah.
money. And
That's the
he-
first thing
he
Jerry
goes-
says because Jerry's
he
frugal.
goes, Jerry, they're Japanese.
Yeah,
Like,
as
that
if-
means anything.
That's enough,
right? And then
yeah.
he goes like, think about the sushi you eat and the cartoons you watch
And the kimono you're
you're
wearing,
wearing.
yeah.
And Jerry's wearing a sweater, like
But that's the beauty of
And Kramer's now wearing like a Japanese
a
attire
beautiful suit that he
that's the beauty of Kramer.
on their dime.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about Kramer, is that he says these things and it's almost as if there's an artistry to it, because he'll convince people to at least keep going along with his schemes so that they
Oh,
keep
genie.
going.
Yeah, it's
but as
genie.
soon as he gets, how many times in Seinfeld does he say to somebody when they finally call him out for a plan utterly failing, "Well, nobody put a gun to your head"?
Yeah.
Like he knows it was a ridiculous plot or scheme.
This is what
or
I wrote today.
logical
He
idea.
uses the same weird unlogic to assume the Japanese guys are rich and then
Yeah.
takes no responsibility when their money is gone.
No,
He's kind of just like, well, that happened,
yeah,
right?
evidently.
So
evidently.
my question to you, and that reminds me also when he's stuck in traffic with Jerry in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, he's
Just
trying to convince
walk
Jerry
away.
to ditch his car and that will work out.
Yeah.
And his logic is very much like,
That's the final
I
Kramer
see like
one
a
of
weird
that.
way this might work, but ultimately like I don't care either way because it's not my responsibility.
Right, it's not how that. By the way, the way he describes that is not how that works at all.
Of course
What's
not.
your deductible? Well, I don't know. That's right, because they've already deducted it.
Yeah. You're just saying words.
It's like that doesn't mean anything.
And then he goes, you pocket the money if there is any, and you get a new car. And you see Jerry just look for maybe a second or two, and then go. He's considering. He goes, "We're not leaving the car." He
Yeah.
knows
Yeah. Yeah.
after 9 years. Of course, you're just
It's
saying
like, dude,
words.
if this was like an
Yeah.
hour later, I might have been like, yeah, that's true. That's a good plan.
right,
Maybe done it. Yeah.
If he was
Right.
a little bit
Right.
more tired.
right, yeah, yeah. He was just on that cusp.
All
Right.
right. So with all this being said about Kramer, my question to you two is Kramer truly oblivious or does he know what he's doing on some level? And I have a clip that is evidence, but like give your answer first, maybe. And then I'll play the clip.
Do you think in part that because everything works out for him, he assumes that it will work out for other people?
I want to know if he's aware of it on some level of what he's doing.
Well, what do you mean by what, like bankrupting these Japanese tourists so that they're destitute and lost in America?
How
'Cause
much
that is what
how
he's
much
doing.
moral responsibility? That's true.
I'm thinking about that going like, that's extreme. And then I'm
Also,
like,
can
no,
you-
that's very accurate.
Can you
that's-
cash
that's what
in
I mean.
plane tickets?
Which is fucked up. You could refund them if you had insurance on them, maybe.
like I don't like that. That was the first
But
thought I
also
had.
that's
Like
not
I've
a
never
plan.
bought it. I've
But
never
also
bought
that's
the
not a
type of
plan.
airline ticket.
Joe,
I
they're
can exchange.
Japanese.
They'll get their kimono money eventually.
Look at the headphones you're using.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I don't
So that's
know.
racist, by the way. Just
Oh, a lot of this episode was racist
'Cause
in
Kramer's-
2020
yeah,
terms.
but you're just it's
'Cause the question-
disgusting
the
what you're
question
doing
is,
right
mine
now.
is mine particularly.
The question
Yeah.
is willful ignorance of the consequences, is that malevolence? Is that
It's not as bad as malevolence.
I
Malevolence
don't think
is
so, yeah.
desiring bad
but I'm
and
saying-
aiming at it.
But that's the question you're asking.
What Kramer is sort of like a tornado of truth. Like a genie is a tornado of truth because
Yeah, I want that on my resume. Other skills.
Tornado
A tornado of truth.
Yeah.
because
Damn. I'm putting that in a book. Or
He'll
When
just-
can you start?
he'll
Yeah.
destroy things with truth when he wants, but he'll also lie to himself about things like
Right, like a
gosh,
tornado.
Like he knows that 50,000 yen. If those Japanese guys had $50,000 as part of their travel budget, they wouldn't be asking
No,
a
I
guy on the street to take their
I don't think
picture.
he knows the conversion stuff.
There's a scene in where they go to Tuscany and Jerry goes, "Come on." He goes, "Let's get out of this car." He goes, "Kramer, you don't understand." He goes, "How much did you give him?" And Jerry says, "I forget, 10,000 lira or something." Kramer goes, "Are you crazy?" And Jerry goes, "Kramer, you don't understand the conversion rate."
Yeah.
And Kramer's like, whatever.
connection.
He doesn't
Kramer's like,
understand the
you tip,
conversion
okay,
rate.
you tip $10,000
Right. For that guy.
and it's like, no, that's a number.
Yeah, and Jerry's like, "Kramer, you don't understand the conversion." So it's an issue.
Here's my one part of my argument why I think Kramer does know.
I don't
Because
think he does.
comes in
He-
at the point where the Japanese guys can no longer stay at a hotel
You
because
must
their
go
money is
now.
gone. They end up staying in Kramer's drawers, right? So
No, Farbman's drawers.
well, Kramer has a dresser by the famous Karl Farbman.
I
and
can
so
get you one if that's what you're driving
These
at.
are big
no
drawers,
charge
by
to
the
you,
way.
of course.
But it's
Like,
also
what
a
does
little
that
bit.
mean?
It's also a little bit racist, like that Japanese people are smaller or something. Like even in a big dresser, you wouldn't expect like a person to be able to sleep. And they anyways, that's a whole sub.
There
no,
is an
the
epi-
dressers are big.
Well, the
it's
dressers
a
aren't.
Karl Farbman.
The dressers
It's a
aren't.
Farbman.
The dressers aren't racist. They're just dressers.
In
Yeah,
any
it's
case,
you that's racist.
so
Piece of shit.
so
You scumbag.
at the point where Kramer
Luke,
comes into
can
Jerry's
you not be racist for just 1 minute?
I wish we all had a Desperado button.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Oh my
That would've
God,
been
he's
Oh my
the only
God.
one.
Man.
He's
That-
the genie right now. He's the only one
I
who has
know.
the Desperado
that's
button.
a great-
Why is he in charge of the Desperado button? That sounds awful.
I'm gonna do. I'm going to do that to my fiance all the time now.
Oh, that's gonna work out long
She'll
term.
just be like trying to tell me like, oh, like this other bitch teacher at work, blah blah blah, and I'll just like pop it on the Sonos speaker in the house, and she'll be like, what? And I'll be like, could you just
No,
not
she'll be
talk
like-
for a minute?
She'll be like, "Can you stop shushing me all the time, asshole?
Yeah.
This isn't working."
Also, I hate this song.
yeah,
Yeah.
it might turn into that. You're right. We'll see.
well, you got. You're like not deterred from trying.
Yeah,
You're still gonna
that's a
try.
dentist.
I want to know.
Right there.
It's just data.
Yeah.
So
It's my tools.
Kramer comes into Jerry's apartment, gets some.
We promised Johnny we wouldn't.
Yeah. Johnny's at work, so
Kramer gets some pillows, right?
What's up, Johnny?
No, Kramer doesn't get them pillows. Kramer steals them from Jerry's bedroom.
Well, he says he's taking them.
Yeah, he goes,
But this is my argument
gonna-
about how Kramer knows, because Kramer says apparently 50,000 yen doesn't get you very far in New York. And Elaine, because she's like in business and probably has like done that conversion for some kind of business deal, says 50,000 yen, isn't that only like $300? And he goes, evidently. Like he already knew it. He was just kind of shocked
No,
at it.
evidently,
I think-
means he found out the hard way. But
Yeah, I think he found out the hard way.
But he also now is saying, all right, how can I save them money so we can continue this thing? So, like,
There is still
Continue
no
what?
end.
Having friends
Yeah.
that are Japanese that you can drink
well,
sake
think
with?
about it. He's got a new
that sounds
outfit.
awesome. In the hot tub?
He's got
Yeah.
a new outfit. He's got he's going to the Rainbow Room. He's shopping at Saks on Fifth
No,
Avenue.
the Rainbow Room never worked out because it turned out there was a
I just
problem
mean-
with the bill.
A slight monetary discrepancy.
Discrepancy, yeah.
So, anyways, I happen to think I have a new interpretation of Kramer, which is something that Kramer on some level knows what he's doing, and he's also just playing with the world with a willful ignorance.
Okay.
And I have the evidence from this episode is Kramer is putting these Japanese men to bed in the drawers, the Karl Farbman drawers.
Oh, right. You were saying this.
And I asked this question to Joe on the ferry on our way up here. I said what I just asked, like, is Kramer aware of what he's doing, or is he playing dumb? Like, kind of, you know, like, or is he
it
like
might be both.
genuinely
Yeah.
just a
Yeah,
dog?
I think it's
It's probably a combination.
Ignorance
Yeah.
because it suits him. And
Um,
then, like,
Right, exactly.
A big
yeah.
part of this is the visual of Kramer yawning, but I just want you guys to see this.
So the viewers have no idea.
No, they
'cause they're
can hear it.
listeners.
Yeah, go grab a beer.
They can hear it.
Can you guys... Shh.
So Kramer's putting the guys to bed in the dresser.
Good night, Mr. O. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Yamaguchi.
Now Kramer's going to pull the light closed. And the way Kramer yawns is just like, none of this really matters to me.
Well,
it's just like a fun little
it's
side
so normal,
thing.
though, too.
Yeah.
It's just like...
That's his reality. Though.
No, question. Do you think that was a dog yawn?
Yes.
Like a dog yawn?
Exactly, yes.
Where like the dog's just like, even if you literally ripped the throats out of like the enemy that day and like had to bury a bunch of your own friends who died, at the end of that night the dog would yawn like that. It would just be like
dogs
and then go to bed.
How are they burying people?
You know what I mean? Like that, like if that was the events of the day versus like you went to the
They can
field.
hold
Fair
shovels?
question, yeah.
You went to the field and threw the ball for your dog and then came back
Now the
and
keys
fed
in
it
the
peanut
bird
butter.
and the bird's in the ground. What are we gonna do? You just answered your own question.
I'm being fired
Oh,
at
no.
from all the helicopters of Seinfeld.
I'll get the shovel.
Yeah. Quick, hand me that shovel. We gotta...
I dug Fredo up. Now let's cut him open. Oh my god!
All right. So, anyways,
Hi, neighbor.
would you say your interpretation of Kramer is more like genuine dog?
Yeah, I think that there's lapses in longer term planning that he becomes aware of, and you can argue whether or not that's him being a bad person, then saying, whatever, I'll move on to the next now moment of kind of bliss of just being in the moment. Like, he should stop and say, oh,
He's a little
shit.
bit enlightened in that way.
But I think he's also a little bit irresponsible.
Weak
because
moral
he's
code.
He's taking advantage of these people,
Yeah.
essentially.
If he were
Right.
to be truly honest with himself, he's taking advantage of
But I think he starts out as not trying to...
I think he starts out as genuinely curious.
Well, it's like, how
He's
could,
just like, ooh,
how could
this
I
could be
show
interesting.
this group around,
Yeah.
have a good time? Maybe they are really rich.
I
then,
think he assumes that, yes. I
but
agree.
then it's like,
Yeah.
it's a win-win for him. But then he realizes they're out of money, and he's like...
Yeah.
Because he does show genuine like concern for them. He's like, I got to do something with these guys. I got to feed them.
Yeah.
It's not like he could have abandoned them before Yankee
He's not
Stadium.
in that sense.
Oh yeah.
he's a
He
good
tried
person,
to. He tried
So
to.
he
He tried to make it
save
right.
it.
He tried to make it right.
But then he's like,
Entertain them and make them feel, even though they're not.
Hey, peanuts!
They don't have a way back to Japan.
right? Why are they selling concession?
They're not.
Food
That's why they're starving
near
and
George's
devouring
office.
oranges at the end of the episode, right?
Again with the oranges.
Again with the oranges.
What's your favorite line of the episode?
But they told us we must go now.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Even better than the line "You must go"
Yeah.
is
You
when
must
Jerry
go now.
Yeah.
recounts it.
Yeah.
He's like, "But they told us we must go," and like
Yeah,
it's like
because it recounts how
Jerry read
great
that
line was.
correctly.
Yes.
It means you are fundamentally unwelcome here
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Like there's a
I've read your
language barrier,
character.
but like there's never going to be something that happens.
Oh,
here.
even between
Right,
languages, you can really
cross languages.
Look,
you got to go
across languages. There are often like crazy misunderstandings.
Right, but that cuts through clearly. Very
I've been
clearly.
with my fiance for 4 years, and we still have like she'll like get pissed off at something, and I'll be like, "What happened?"
Has she ever done that to you when you get into a really big fight? You must go now. I'm
No,
gonna tell her to do that. Oh my god. I'm gonna text her right now.
What?
Let's go now.
All right, that's a thing. I meant more like we'll realize like the thing that caused the anger was just like a complete misunderstanding between languages. Yet
Yeah.
there are some things that are so clear. The phrase "you must go now" cannot be misinterpreted.
Well, it's like our other favorite line of "That's what I like to know about it,"
Oh,
where it
that's
just captures the sentiment, the real emotional.
Like, do you
thrust
realize
of that
I don't
moment.
give a shit?
That's
yeah,
what I like
that's
to
what I
know
like to know
Yeah.
about it.
Dude, you know what my favorite line of the episode is? Brett walks in, and Jerry's got the claw from signing
Yeah.
checks, so
Oh,
he
yeah.
waves to him,
Yeah.
and then Brett holds up a claw back and says, "Like that's very funny."
It's very funny. Like, I get you do.
like,
you
oh,
do this
you're
simpleton
a
work.
comedian.
I
He's
sell
al-
furniture, but you do
he's
simpleton
already,
work.
He's already demeaning him by acting as if, oh, my weird
Well,
niche thing
but
is way
Elaine's
more
pep
intellectual.
talk to him was obviously like, "Hey, he's a comedian. He's going to make jokes." Blah blah blah. So he walks in, and the first thing he sees,
Right.
he just assumes is
Right.
a bit or a joke
Right.
or a skit, as he
Because
calls
why
it.
would Jerry just be a person otherwise, right? He's
very
just
fun.
what he
Like,
does.
but, like, he doesn't
Brett
think
is
that-
what he does. He's a furniture salesman. God damn it! And he's a deep guy because he likes Karl Farbman,
Yo,
who
you got
rides around
issues.
in my car from time to time.
I got Karl Farbman.
I got
here.
Karl Farbman in here. He's so proud
Yeah.
to say it. And Jerry's like,
But he doesn't actually think a claw is funny. He's just
No.
assuming that Jerry's kidding.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's clever.
So he goes, "Oh, that's funny." Like I don't know it. Well, I don't know I don't get his humor, but
right.
It's just
he gets that it's supposed to be humor, even though it's not.
he's probably
In reality, right?
next to Putty, my favorite Elaine boyfriend because he's
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's
a good episode.
He's a very good douchebag.
Let's rank Elaine's boyfriends. Let's do that episode. sometime. Yeah.
Elaine's boyfriend's ranked.
She's had quite a few. She's
Putty is just an obvious.
Putty's
Putty's kind of the he is what like she would wind up settling for. That's
because it's been so on again, off again.
Right.
Like,
Also, the sex is good. Turns out, like, even if you hate yourself
because of the
and don't want to have a
nobody can
relationship,
stand to be with either one of you, right? And they're like, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Oh, that's a depressing relationship,
actually,
right? When you realize,
we're forgetting,
but it's a truthful
We're
one.
forgetting Jerry though.
Why would
Jerry forget
bring
anything?
No, I'm saying he might be my favorite Elaine boyfriend.
And that's actually
I
referenced
see
in
what
this
you're
episode.
up to, Ramon.
Oh, that's meta.
This is my podcast too.
In the echo of the pool. I see what you're up to, Ramon.
Yeah.
Whenever anybody's trying to do or say anything, you just look at them with skepticism and you go, "I see what you're up to, Ramon."
This is my place to swim.
Like
Hitting him with the pool skimmer.
when
He's poking at him.
It's so stupid.
Oh, it's so dumb. Oh, we got to do that episode too.
yeah,
To see Ramon?
oh yeah. So my favorite line from this episode was
What's the name
actually
of that episode.
it relates to what you just did, Joe.
Fuck, I don't know.
Anyway, what?
Yeah.
My favorite line from this episode was it's a meta line. It's because he's my butler.
Oh my god, I freaking love
What
that
I
line.
feel like is like I'm watching like BoJack Horseman in his sitcom, right? I call this meta Seinfeld.
Yes,
Jerry
I know
is
exactly what you're gonna
Jerry
say.
is being meta
Yeah.
by being
right.
Jerry because he's constantly breaking character with his little smiles.
Correct. Yeah.
We know the character Jerry's being, and we can also see that the actor is limited from fully committing to that. Probably because to fully commit to Jerry would mean you let go of.
He's
your
also
sanity.
just not a good actor.
Also, he's not a good
Yes.
actor, right?
But
Which
they
works
make that work because this is what I was saying before.
It
with
makes it funnier.
in the show. In
He's
the
also
universe,
surrounded
he's
by-
not a good comic.
Yeah.
He's his comic.
Right.
So same thing with the sitcom.
Right.
When you see like you obviously you're watching the show Seinfeld, so that's the humor. But when Seinfeld makes fun of itself within the universe, the jokes are so stupid because he's my
Right.
butler.
Yeah.
But like Seinfeld does that, just like way better writing. You know
right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
that's
Seinfeld,
what Seinfeld
uses that
is.
same template for humor,
But it's better writing.
but the details are there, and you're like,
Right.
because it's my syrup.
butler, and then he goes,
Like if you say syrup because you're bringing syrup into a diner, all of a sudden it's a little funny, right?
what does the Japanese guy say? He goes, "Is this customary in your legal system?" He
Yeah.
goes, "No." That's what makes it so humorous.
That's what makes it such a humorous
Such a
situation.
humorous situation.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
so Jerry's being meta Jerry, right? He's if Jerry is a little bit acting in normal Jerry, in the version of Jerry in the show, he's like extra acting. He's like, because it's my butler. Like
It's
his
so
face
over.
is
it's
like
so, he's an
smiling.
overactor as it is, but
And
then
he's
in the
overacting
show-
that, yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. That sounds like what the original pitch would have been when they were just hanging around shooting the shit, Larry and Jerry. They would have said, "Oh, what about this?" and then moved on to an actual better plot line
Right.
from there. But that's the fault of their character. They think, "Oh, this might stick. This is what we came up to, not writing for 3 months."
Hey,
And-
after he's done with your place, send him over to mine.
yeah, it's Seinfeld-esque. It's just so dumb.
And that guy's a great Kramer. Like their sitcom, those
Dude.
characters are spot on.
Very well done. Yeah, very well done.
Classic George line about why their pilot failed, right? He goes, yeah, all sitcoms are just four guys sitting around whining about their ex-girlfriends.
Writing about their dates.
I wrote that quote down too. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
classic jab at themselves.
which is fantastic.
But they're like, fuck
So
you because you're
relatable.
watching us.
Right.
Yeah.
But and it's so crazy that they were the ones to really do that.
Or just the ignorance of not knowing that that's what they're like. The character of George is like saying it's four
Right.
losers sitting around, not realizing that that's what he's doing.
That's what they're doing, yeah. Because and we are seeing isolated moments if you want to think about it philosophically, like, okay, they have 24-hour-a-day lives and we're getting 20 minutes of that at a time. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But we're
Except
getting
the episode covers.
right. So we're getting a few minutes a
A
day.
week.
Right. So, but the beauty of it is that we still get what they are really about. Like, how do you do that about a character that would otherwise have a? That's the real challenge in writing that I found. If you want to write really well, the character, we feel like we get their full story from those glimpses that we're actually getting, because you're not sitting with them and actually watching them suffer for those other 8 hours.
You fill in those other blanks because of how good
you fill it in with your own life,
because
if you can.
Well, you've been directed to, and you've also been prompted by being able.
But that's why these are worth breaking down.
They relate to ourselves. They relate to aspects.
The
of
reason
our own
Seinfeld works is because when we feel George, we might not identify with George and say that's how I would want to act. But I have a George inside
George
me.
is an aspect of everybody's
I have a desperate for attention person inside me, right?
Yeah.
I have a Jerry person inside me, which is like,
a neurotic,
I did everything by the book, so why is this my fault? I did everything I should.
Right.
They can go fuck themselves if they're upset because I did what I should do. And there's a Kramer in me which goes like,
giddy up.
Hey, fuck it. I know I have to teach later, but let's have a few more beers.
The horse beef
Another round.
Yeah, wild card it.
And then I also have an Elaine in me, which is just kind of like, haven't I done enough to get something successful to happen?
Ideally.
Like, God fucking damn it. That resentful, like, kind of. And each one of those has their good sides, too.
Do you want to talk about that at all? Or
is it just me?
How long have we been recording for?
Oh, just an hour and 13. So
just an hour and 13.
I only got a few more points that I wrote down from the episode, so here we go.
I didn't rate shit.
No, I wrote a lot for the first Seinfeld. I was like, I came in well prepared and then realized like, oh, dude, it's just going to take a bunch of different turns.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
No, this is all scripted.
Oh, yeah, this has all been scripted.
Highly scripted. Yeah, we actually manipulate you to say what we want. And
you got
me and
to.
Joe rehearsed this, yeah.
We
Oh, you
rehearsed
got
it to make you say exactly what you've said so far.
I remember my friend went on a date with someone who said, like, do you mind if I do a manipulation on you? Like he basically went on a date and this girl was like a PhD psychology student and like was trying out manipulation exercises on him.
No thanks.
And like he was like reading me
material.
the email or something. I forget the details of this honestly, but he was reading me the email and I remember being like, you could also just like not go on the date to the girl is admitting out front in email, not even like in person, like in
that
email.
You're an experiment.
That I'm going to experiment on you.
Well, if only you had a fax
And funny
machine.
enough, we bumped
Now back
into
to the
her.
episode.
We bumped into them on the date, and I was just like kind of stoned.
That is
I was
funny.
just like to myself thinking like, what a crazy world.
Yeah, but you should... I would have just fucked with her if I knew she was on an experiment date. Just start being a variable at that point.
Yeah,
Just start throwing her things that maybe
Wild
she
cards,
can't handle.
bitches.
Be like, all right, let's test that PhD.
All right, so back to the episode.
This is why you're a professor.
George is trying to present this show. Maybe it'll work for the Japanese audience.
Super terrific happy hour.
So he had gotten into a car accident and pounds his fists together. It's like, bro, you just showed them a sitcom. You've been talking to them. They know English. They know what the word car accident
They clearly
means.
don't get the show, or you.
You doing this only makes them think further. Fuck you and fuck your oranges.
Again with the oranges.
Again with the oranges.
Is this customary in your legal system?
No.
No.
That's what makes it such a humorous situation. Ah, it's so good. I would say
Jerry, you could tell in that scene, Jerry's just like,
he's
look,
just going along
let's
with it.
go with one more try at this.
Yeah.
I know it sucks.
But you know what's funny, actually? I think it's either it might be the next episode where Jerry meets up with his old
Mulva?
college buddy. And he says,
I thought Malva hated you.
and he says, oh, what have you been doing? He said, yeah, we did a sitcom. It didn't take, almost got, had a show in Japan though. And the guy says, oh, really? You speak Japanese? And Jerry goes, no. And the guy goes, oh, so it would have been in English? Jerry goes, I don't know. Anyways, and he just moves on.
He never really thought that far.
But
Right.
that's Seinfeld again, tackling its own.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just making fun of itself. It's like
But that's what I love. I can imagine this writer's room where they were talking to
they
each other.
think of
and
every
said,
problem.
and said, wait a minute, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
And like, we'll make a joke out of it.
So if
I love
someone,
that.
if no one's going to critique their show for it not making sense in that regard, you know what I mean? They've thought of every,
Correct. Yeah.
hey, this is bullshit. It's like, yeah, we addressed it, or it wasn't important at all.
Right.
What? I thought someone was here.
Thunk Tank,
What'd you say?
can you be quiet for just 1 minute?
Guys, just focus for a second. And can get deep with us here. And go to patreon.com
And like,
/
share,
Thunk Tank
and
Podcast
imbibe.
and donate.
If you donate.
All right, so the last plot line from this episode that needs to be addressed is the fact that this is classic Seinfeld universe, where the universe is just like pre-wired to be like awfully against a person. Jerry's rich. He's successful. He makes a lot of money, clearly. Yet for some reason in this episode, we know that Brett, Elaine's boyfriend, wanted to go in thinking of Jerry as lesser. But Jerry could have just as easily like proven, like, you know, go fuck yourself. Like, I'm actually successful.
See,
I like
think,
this apartment.
I think Farbman.
I don't need Karl Farbman furniture to feel
You look like
successful.
you need a good
not
meal,
Karl.
and you look like you can go.
I think Brett is.
Yeah, he
richer
almost
than
had that.
Jerry though. Like
Brett has more money than Jerry, but Jerry's
Yeah.
comfortable. And he lives on the Upper West Side comfortably. That means that
also Farbman.
Farbman.
Yeah.
Is a
Farbman.
designer they use in the Hamptons.
Really?
Wonder if it's the same family in the Seinfeld universe.
Huh.
They
Interesting.
when Jerry or George does the whole Hamptons trip.
Is that with the
Susan's parents and they
Oh.
say a
Prickly
house?
Pete.
He says the house is a
Snoopy and Prickly Pete?
He says the house is a Mark Farbman.
Oh. I mean,
Dude.
George probably just had that name in his
There's
memory.
so many.
But I mean,
Easter
that
eggs
might be
that,
just like a
There's-
designer family.
There's so many Easter eggs like that in Seinfeld where seasons
Where
even
clearly
later.
one of the writers just like went to college with like a Farbman rich family, and
And it
was
just sounded
let's
like
use
the
this
perfect name, yeah.
But it sounds like a furniture Hamptons vibe, right? Like
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for some reason, the Seinfeld universe decided that coincidence will happen to Jerry this episode, where Jerry's always going to be made to look pathetic. And the first one is like the greeting that you already said. Jerry holds up his like sore hand, and Brett is like, haha, funny, right? I'm going to get you a thing. And then for some reason, there's just a rule in the universe that if you don't have a fax machine, that you have financial problems.
Elaine enjoys it so much too. She's like,
Jerry doesn't have a fax machine.
Doesn't have.
And Carl just immediately goes, well, I'm sure things will pick up for you. It's like,
It's such a
That's
weird
not a
reference.
sign
maybe
of
I
wealth.
didn't buy a fax machine.
Yeah, I'm a comic. Why would I need faxes?
Right.
You fucking asshole.
Right.
You know?
But it's a rare thing you see from Jerry at the end when he says, "You look like you could use a."
Yeah, it's
And-
like a
and, like-
rare, honest, like standing up for
if
himself.
you let him finish that, like that's actually Jerry sticking up for him. Yeah, like
But he'll never get the chance to do that. He can't. That topples the whole pyramid of neuroticism.
yeah,
and,
true.
And
But
not being
Elaine
really-
knew to not let him. There's a
Yes.
funny outtake with that
Right.
where he's like,
Oh, really?
he actually
in the
said
bloopers,
it, right?
he says like, "You look like you could use a rectal," and
Yeah.
like Julia starts to laugh, and
Really?
they all, yeah, it's just like he finishes it in a funny way.
Huh.
But I always thought like,
Because
that's
I always
kinda-
wondered how
is
you would
Jerry
finish
like
it,
almost
yeah.
about to say, "Yo, shut like."
It would be weird to
Fucking
hear
asshole.
something visceral like
Well,
that
the
from
line
Jerry,
I would say
right?
is, and you look like you could.
Why would
use a go
Jerry
fuck
say
yourself.
anything visceral like that? Why would Jerry say anything visceral like that?
I think you should emphasize visceral.
I think he emphasized wood.
And then right after, Brett is like, I'm sure things will pick up for you about the fax machine. They're like, oh, do you want to join us for lunch? And Jerry's like, sure. How about the coffee shop? And Brett goes,
I think we can do a little better than that. It's like,
And-
fuck you.
wait, no. And then he goes, you look like you could use a solid meal at a real restaurant.
What does that mean?
Dude,
It
like,
They don't have food at a
It
coffee
means
shop?
I feel richer than you, and you
Yeah.
can go fuck yourself.
But that also means
What
he
a
doesn't know what a
douchebag.
coffee shop is. He thinks that a coffee shop just serves coffee and maybe like a donut. And he's like, oh, you look like you could use a solid meal at a real restaurant.
it's
like,
yeah,
you idiot.
It's the most elitist boyfriend
it's
she's
very
ever
elitist.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
probably
then,
fair
of
to
course,
say.
the Seinfeld universe makes Jerry bounce into him in his car.
At the worst,
Right.
not
On the
so
episode where
things
he
aren't
happens to be
working for
signing,
you at the moment.
he's signing
Or no, not
12-cent checks,
It could
right?
not be raining.
He's signing checks worth 12 cents
Dude,
each.
this is the universe we always talk about.
and
Because he has to see the check that says, "Well, I can reimburse you the money for."
also,
12
that's not how any
cents?
that's not how any of that
It's
works.
not about the money.
Then what is it about?
He goes, "I'll give you a ride, but I got Karl Farbman here.
And Jerry goes, "Thanks for the
Thanks for stopping."
thanks for stopping." Yeah.
Which is great. It's a great line. It's like, dude,
You
know,
stopped and
you
said
know
hello,
You can't
yeah.
pick him up.
Right. Yeah.
So you're literally just saying you're stopping to say like, "Hey, things are tough right now, huh?"
yeah.
Right. I'd let you in.
No, he's
but I
willing
got
to
Karl
spot him the
Farbman.
money. I could spot you the 12 cents.
12 cents.
But also, Jerry was trying to get an umbrella after he was already soaked. Like, give up on it. You're already soaked. Right?
You don't want to keep being
Yeah,
so.
but it fit the.
Why do you go out without an umbrella when it's pouring rain like this? I mean,
do it
I've been
all the
caught
time.
in New York City
Yeah,
without an
what are you talking
umbrella.
about?
It happens. But, like, you go and do the Starbucks
No, I don't
or
have a
whatever.
problem with that. I have a problem with he runs into Brett and Karl Farbman immediately after.
In a car.
Yeah.
As if it's easy to stop in your
Yeah.
car and talk
It's
to people
so
on the side of the street in New York. That's the hardest thing to do ever.
Yeah.
It's hard
Right,
to
it's
just
the
like
middle of the
drive
street,
in New
that's
York.
true.
Never mind stop and
Yeah.
talk to people.
Right.
People will be like, fuck you fucking cunt. You know, like right behind you honking their horn. Like, it makes no sense that you could just
Yeah,
calmly
and he obviously
stop with
runs
Karl
into
Farbman
the-
in the car.
Yeah.
He runs into the same, Teddy Padillac.
Yeah.
and the
Oh
umbrella
yeah,
salesman.
because
Tommy
it's New
Padillac,
York. You're
yeah.
bound to run into the guy that you used to sell umbrellas with 20 years
Yeah.
ago. Like,
As the
Yeah,
car
you haven't run into him since.
and they all resent you for leaving the umbrella business as if it's a bad thing to get past that and get a better
Yeah, it's like
career
the
where you
fucking
have a
stonemasons or some shit. You know, it's like, well, where were you in the poncho craze
like
of
the
'86?
The poncho craze of '86. That's right.
What about Hurricane Gloria? Wasn't that a great
Those are
what
good
is-
times.
Yeah.
Those were good.
Tropical storm something. What does he say? What does he say? He goes, what about tropical storm
Tropical
Doria?
storm Doria, or it's like something with a D. I
Tell
think.
something with a D. Doria, yeah.
The Andrea Doria.
No,
Sunk
no.
into the sea like an old man into a warm tub.
I gotta find this out.
Poncho craze of
Tropical
It was
'86.
something like that, right?
Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, $200 for a real foul weather fan or friend.
Doria
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
that's right. And then you
Go to the
price hikes
scripts.
and-
No, it should come right. Andrea Doria Seinfeld.
No, that's what he said.
Ah, god damn it.
Oh, man.
Anyways, it doesn't matter, but I think we're
No,
right.
none of it
I think we're right.
matters. About what?
All of it.
None of it matters.
Anything. All of it.
Nothing matters.
No, I think we're right about everything we said this episode. So
I think so, yeah.
I do not think that I have anything
I think that's
left to say.
I think that's pretty good. An hour and however many minutes analysis of
Yeah.
checks.
Yeah, perfect. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're a Seinfeld fan, I think you probably will. Spread it around to other Seinfeld fans. I just
Ideally.
really enjoy, like what I said in the beginning, I enjoy getting into like the depth of Seinfeld.
There's a lot to get
It feels
into,
like an
yeah.
effortless exercise of my intellect. What?
I would say so. Shh.
Sorry, one second.
We should use this to play ourselves out though.
What do you mean?
Play ourselves out. What does that mean? What, to end the show?
Oh, yes.
We'll do it live.
All right.
So I want to go around. We started this episode by saying one sentence. What is the episode about? Now that we've talked about it, give me a different sentence. You can't use the same one, even if you want to.
Of what the episode is about.
Yeah. I got my finger on the trigger of Desperado. Now I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the organic moment of Desperado starting. Look at that.
I think the meaning of this episode is that you can't be desperate. You just have to let Desperado.
Cool. That's an answer. Eric,
Okay.
you want to end us a little different?
They're all genies.
Yeah,
genies-
I like that. They're
The
all
genie
genies.
has sex with all of them.
The meta genie has sex with all of them.
That's perverse.
I actually take back what I said about George being the main character.
I don't think he is.
I think
it's
I think
Jerry.
it's really revealing about George, like the whole like needing to be loved even by
Yeah.
a cult. But I think
That's a
the
big
main
part of it,
character is actually how pathetic Jerry is.
Well, that's what you said at the beginning.
He's
right?
rich,
How
but all it
Jerry's the
takes is a
genie.
furniture salesman to make
Pathetic,
him
but-
look pathetic. You know,
Yeah, but he's also using
he's not a
everybody.
real man.
No.
We're not men.
Yeah.
These aren't real lives. What are these? We should be having dinner with our sons.
Joe, 1 second, please. Shh.
Oh, God, I thought someone
Eric,
was there
if you
for a
could just be
second.
quiet for a
For
second.
1 second, 1 minute.
This has been great. I want to thank you for listening to the
Luke,
Thunk Tank Podcast.
Can you not podcast for 1 minute?
Sorry.
This is a great record.
Just hit stop.
Anyways, that's where I stopped my recording. So that's where we're going to stop this.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. No more Desperado. Let's just end the pod. Oh. That's weird.
Thank you, Seinfeld fans.
I want to
This
thank you
song.
for
Listen to our next sign.
Joe.
This is so bad.
It's always you always have the possibility of saying shh. No, I just want to make sure.
Can you guys just like, share, and subscribe?
No, I think this is a series we'll continue to do, like Seinfeld. I think it's a way to get into the depth of. Hold on 1 second. Shh.
Desperado.
Joe.
Shh. Why don't you?
We actually have a funny memory of we were on a vacation with people. We're no longer friends with these people. But we were looking at
That's such a weird way to start a story.
No, I just
Wait,
mean
who?
like
Me and
no,
you two or
no,
us
no,
two?
me and my fiance.
Oh, okay.
We were on a vacation with these people on an island, and we were looking at a beautiful view. And I started just saying like, "Oh, it's so crazy how blah blah blah," and the girl turns to me and goes, "Shh, just enjoy the view."
Really?
Yeah.
That's
She
that.
branded
That's
you?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what this is.
That's literally this.
That's funny. You know what's funny?
As I played Desperado for the 5th time
You've
just
told
now,
that-
memory flooded into my
I've
head.
heard you tell me this story just totally unrelated. And
Enjoy
you're
the
so
podcast.
right.
I can't believe
Yeah.
that girl did that.
Yeah, yeah. And so me and
That
Yanka,
must have been some
I
view.
totally believe that's. Oh, she was.
oh, she was Frank.
Oh, we might do that
Wait,
episode
so
next.
literally, this is a joke. Me and my current fiance, my only
Your
fiance.
current
fiance.
I can't wait for her to.
Sorry, Yanka.
Me and my current fiance.
Who love each other very deeply.
Did you guys share Desperado together?
So long now.
Can you guys be engaged for 1 minute, please?
My current.
That's so dumb.
Me and my first wife used to love this song.
3 years is a long time to be engaged.
Yeah.
So basically, we have this running joke now whenever we see something beautiful, like whether it's like a beautiful view on a TV show or in real life, like when we got engaged, the sunset was beautiful when we got engaged. It was like a storm, and then like the sun happened to come back out like below the thunderstorm cloud and like have a beautiful sunset. And we had just gotten engaged and we were looking at it. I was like, "This is beautiful," and she goes, "Shh, just enjoy it." Like it's a running joke of like what not to be.
Yeah,
You know?
I think you think it's a joke.
But it's also, you should enjoy it.
I just gave a deep moment. Enjoy it. The best is to shush someone shushing. It's like you were shushing and I'm shushing your loudness of shushing. All right, we should end the podcast.
Thank you guys.
Probably. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Eric, for coming back for another Seinfeld.
You didn't come back. We did.
There's
Yeah,
9
thanks for coming here.
seasons
Yeah.
and 19 episodes in a lot of those seasons or whatever. There's a lot more of these to
I
come.
think there's 18.
Job
think-
security, yeah.
I think we found a job security. Like, share, and subscribe. Go on to Patreon. Donate $1. Maybe 2.
I'm not going to shush you. I
Maybe
agree.
5.
Eric's just like, cut it. Just play us out. Do it live. Play us out.
For so long.
Are you playing us out?
I'm playing this out. Shh.
Oh, you're a hard one. I know.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Thunk Tank Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to help us out, please consider leaving a rating or a review wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with people you think might like it. And if you really want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/Thunk Tank Podcast. We have links to this in the episode description and other places. And for as little as $1 an episode, you can help us keep the lights on. And you also get access to a very special Drunk Tank feed of episodes. So every few episodes, we'll have a few more beers and record an extra 20 to 30 minutes of extra thunky, silly whateverness. So there's a separate RSS link you can get from there. And if you put that into a podcast player, you'll get your own separate feed of only the Drunk Tanks. I think we have about 6 or 7 of them out already and more to come. Thanks for listening and stay funky.